Hi, everybody.
Hey guys, Chris Scott here,
Jordan Terry.
and we're with the Paperless Agent, and you are here for today's member training where we're going to be talking about pre-lead positioning strategies, i.e. how to create a powerful online presence. I've got lots of good resources I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, lots of great examples, and some very specific how-tos that I know everybody always appreciates. So I know we've got about a minute or two before we get started officially. Go on to the chat feature, say hello.
Yes, please. Let us know where you're calling in from. Chris and I had differing opinions about which poll should take place at the beginning of this webinar because neither of us talked about the fact that we wanted to run a poll at the beginning of this training session. So we went with his option because it's more relevant. But I also am really curious to know how long you have been a member of the marketing club. So as you're saying hello, if you could just let me know, I've been with you guys 0 to 6 months, a little over a year, just let me know how long you've been with us. It's just for my personal knowledge.
Excellent. Well, I'm very excited about this topic today because I've been talking to I'd probably say in the last week, I've talked to a handful of members that I've got connections and relationships with. And something that is, I always get reminded of this whenever I talk to people who are in our membership who have taken action on their online presence, is the results that they get. And so it just so happened that we were already going to train on this, and I was talking to some folks and they were like, oh, it's working really good for me. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've done. And some of that stuff I'm going to even share with you that I wasn't originally going to plan on sharing in today's presentation, but I just couldn't help myself because I wanted to give you stuff and hopefully inspire you to take new action when it comes to building a powerful online presence. And with that, Jordan, let's just go ahead and get started. A little change in format today for those of you who are watching this live is that go ahead and ask your questions as we do this presentation, and then Jordan's going to pause me if I'm talking or vice versa, and we're going to try and answer many of your questions in line if it's relevant to what we were just talking about or what we're currently talking about. So hopefully that way by the end of today's presentation, we can just wrap up with a few questions that we didn't get a chance to answer. But I want to be able to make sure we close the loop on every piece of information that we share today by answering those questions in line, so to speak. And with that, I think what I'm going to do is I have a slide deck that I've prepared. So I'm going to pull up that slide deck. Go ahead and answer that question for that poll if you're just joining us. Do you have a plan, or have you taken steps to intentionally improve your online reputation or your identity or your online presence in the last 30 days? Many of you are probably saying yes because you are in our
because
paperless
you're here
group,
and it counts.
and it matters.
Is the beginning of a plan.
This is good news because you're going to be excited with what we share. But let me just pull up my presentation here so that I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about, and I've got the slides to back it up. So with that, a little transition. You still can see us, hopefully, and you can see my slide here. I wanted to start today's conversation with you guys by pointing out the fact, or reminding you of the fact, because I know I've talked about this. If you followed Gary, myself, Jordan, Paperless Agent crew, you know that this is something that's really important, which is your online reputation or your online identity, or also your online presence. I use those things synonymous. But according to the National Association of Realtors profile of home buyers and sellers, when asked what the deciding factor in choosing their real estate professional, home sellers prioritize the agent's reputation above all other factors, right? So
what are some of the other factors?
Pricing the home,
mm-hmm.
right? The ability to price the home. Another factor might be the agent's use of technology. Another factor might be
well, both of those go into reputation, right?
Well, that's the thing. Reputation becomes all-encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is the certifications and designations. They ask them a bunch of different things, and it's always the same. It's the agent's reputation. When they ask home buyers, ironically, it's honesty and integrity. Again, coming back to the agent's reputation or our reputations. And so, that's why I created the poll that I had running, was to be able to see if it's that important, right? If it is that important, then hold on a second. Let me just make sure I got the right stuff coming up here. Okay. If it's that important that that we're spending time working on it, right? So
Right.
if it's what sellers consider to be the most important thing when choosing us, for example, and we want to work with more sellers, it behooves us to spend more time, more intentional time to improve that reputation. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was give some definition to what a reputation is. All right. So what is a reputation? A reputation, according to Merriam-Webster, is, let me see here. I think I got it right here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put this in a slide, but I got it in my notes down here.
Well, why would you when you're going to read it out loud?
Yeah, I was going to read it. So according to Merriam-Webster, the definition of a reputation is the number one, overall quality or character as seen or judged by people in general. Okay. Overall quality or character as seen or judged by people in general. Number two, recognition by other people of some characteristic or ability. For example, someone might have the reputation of being clever or smart. Someone might have the reputation of being a good problem solver, right? So the second definition is the recognition by other people of some characteristic or ability. And then here's a third one, which is, a place in public esteem or regard, i.e. good name. Okay. I think all of these pretty much mean, or what they do is they give a definition of what it is to have a reputation. Now, these days, reputations, the first impression of your reputation is often online. It's not when you meet somebody. It's not when you've had a chance to send them information about yourself. It's when they checked you out online. Perhaps they were referred to you, and the first step that they took was they went to go Google you. So the first impressions are often online. And if they heard of us through word of mouth or they were a referral, oftentimes what they'll do is they'll affirm the impression that they got from that individual by doing a quick Google search to validate our reputation. All right. They're trying to validate that good name that we're trying to build up. So when we're building up that reputation, what we're trying to do is build up a good name. We're trying to get people to see and get recognized for different characteristics or abilities that we have, or that could service them ultimately, that would create an advantage, right? And that's how you build a good reputation, is you define what are the characteristics and abilities that I want people to see me as having, even before they've had a chance to work with me. And how do I get that as part of my good name in advance? Because if they're going to go online to validate it, it sure as heck ought to be there, right? So another thing we want to do is, inevitably, since people are going to go to Google to go search for us, and that's where they're going to see our online reputation. They're going to see our identity, our reputation, our presence by going to Google and running a search. What's going to happen is the search results themselves are not enough to produce a good reputation. It's actually what happens when they click on them and they start clicking through, and whether or not we stand out amongst the other people that they might be searching, right? So that's one of the problems that all of us face in the marketplace, is we don't want to be seen like every other real estate professional, right? We want to be seen as being unique. We want to stand out. We want to stand out as having certain characteristics and abilities that would ultimately serve our customers and give them an advantage in working with us. And so we have to make sure, as we're crafting our identity, as we're crafting our reputation that we want to have online, that it does make us stand out, and it is not just like what everybody else is doing. Finally, our reputation, our online reputation, should develop a sense of having people know, like, and trust us. Because ultimately, as you guys know, people will, if they're going to base it off the reputation, they're going to move towards the folks that they know, like, and trust, right? They trust the reputation. They know the reputation. They like the reputation. They like that individual. They trust that individual. They know that individual. And so with our online reputation, or in other words, our online identity or our online presence, what we want to do is make sure that we are validating the reputation, and we're creating the one that we want to build, that we're standing out, and that it's creating a sense of knowing, liking, and trusting us. So in today's lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to help you develop a plan. We're going to show you what to focus on, and we're going to give you some how-tos and tools so you can improve your online reputation and identity today.
I just wanted to say, just kind of like my own take on why this is so important, is you guys obviously know that reputation's a big deal.
Mhm.
Like that's outside of the online space, like who you present yourself as a person is crucially important to not only your business, but of course your personal life, right? So
Right.
you already know that that's really important. I think why it's worthy of a member training session, why it's worthy of the time that we're going to spend on it today,
Mhm.
is because in the online space today, if you're not being intentional about the presence that and the reputation that you're creating, then one's being created for you anyway.
Right.
And it could be negative. It could be just not enough to stand out from your competition. So you have to, especially because it's an online space nowadays, you have to just be really intentional. And there's a lot of different avenues that you can go down, and you have to figure out which ones are worth your time and which ones actually create that impression that you're trying to
That's
create.
a really good point, is that what happens for most of us is we might go set up a website, or we might do some social media, and we'll do stuff that qualifies as working on our online reputation. But the problem with just doing stuff is that we may or may not be standing out, right? We may not be creating, we may not be building that reputation intentionally around certain characteristics or abilities that are going to benefit our customers. And so it does require a lot of intention, and online it's very easy just to do stuff and then miss the whole point.
Exactly.
So that's a really good point that to point out to make, is that if you're not being intentional, that all you're going to do is just be doing busy work. And like you said, there's a myriad of options. You could go post on Facebook and do Instagram and do Pinterest and do the Twitter, and you could do, what was that one, Perch? There's a gazillion things that you could do.
And I feel like that's why people get the sense that there's like too much, that you as one person could never be able to handle all of it, because there's so many options. But
the reality of the matter is there's only a handful of things that you need to do. And then everything else after that is the word superfluous. Like, it's just not necessary. It's really not necessary, and oftentimes does not produce any result other than make us feel like
it's not
we've
even
done a
the
lot of
sprinkles
work.
on top. It's like,
right. Well, let me end that poll real quick. Let's see.
Let's see what's going on.
So let me end the poll. And it looks like 66% of folks here have made some. And by the way, just showing up here means technically 100%. You've all done something to work on your online reputation. And then 34% have said no. So for the 34%, hopefully we've convinced you at this point to take some action. For the 66%, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to pay attention to what we're going to share, because there's going to be some things that you can do to get a better result, to be more effective in what you've already done. Now, we have a resource that does help everybody get started with their online reputation. We have a resource, and actually what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to pull it up, because if you haven't already downloaded our 5-step agent career acceleration plan, then I'm trying this new file sharing feature right now. And let me hit share file, and it should show up so that you can download that file while we're talking here today.
You should see it in the chat section. Let me know if you don't see it.
So this 5-step career acceleration plan, there's a lot of stuff in here, right? So it actually goes through all 5 phases in just step 1, which is the powerful online presence. In the powerful online presence is what we're going to talk about today. I did want to pause here before we get into today's lesson. And I do want to go over, I want to highlight what's in this plan so that you guys can get a jump start on some of the basics and the foundation of building an online presence. So I'm going to pull that up. I think I need to do a few things here, getting real tricky. So I got to stop my slide presentation. And then hello. And then I'm going to start a different slide presentation, which is this one right here, and hit start. And there we go. So I'm not going to go through all 20 pages of this bad boy. I'm just going to go through the first few. And if you've not downloaded this, I highly encourage you to download it right now.
You can get it from your dashboard also. If you log into your customer dashboard, it's the very first card that you should see. Just click on it and the download should start immediately.
What this does is it walks you through, this walks you through how to be successful in this club. In
the marketing club. It's the getting started plan. If you are confused at all about what you need to be doing or what you should be focusing on in terms of consuming our training, this is the resource you need to look at.
So when you go in, there's an overview of everything that you're going to do through these 5 phases in building up your career. So those 5 phases are, building a powerful online presence. That's step 1. Step 2 is marketing to your base, which we provide you with the marketing materials every month for you to market to your base. Step 3 is to ace every listing opportunity and really start to focus on building a listing business. Step 4 is to scale and replicate leads on demand, right? That's using tools like Facebook or Google or the other sources to be able to scale your leads. And then step 5 is when you start to put parts of your practice on autopilot. And so, of course, you can't finish this in a day or even in a week, but this helps you organize and understand what we're trying to accomplish during your tenure with us as a Marketing Club member. And today, I only want to focus on showing you in this document what's related to building a powerful online presence. So there's a bit of a
narrative. We don't expect you to be able to read this.
By the way, you're not trying to read it. I'm just trying to show you that there's stuff in here, okay? Yes. So when you get to page 6 in this guy, what you're going to find is there's beginnings of a plan. It's going to have, there's videos, links to videos, there's links to resources. We're going to have you, we provide you with a marketing website. So there's step-by-steps on how to build a marketing website, and as well as all the other things that you could do to start building up that online presence. There's direct links there on how to set up a Facebook business page or your LinkedIn profile or using the marketing website that we provide you with. There's links here for setting up and doing online reviews, ratings and reviews, and how to...
Yeah, a couple of people have mentioned that they have a hard time asking for reviews, and in here is
resources for you to do that.
And dealing with negative reviews.
And very important, dealing with negative, really just dealing with any kind of review. When you're dealing with all reviews, there is a cheap way to do it, which is like the either, oh, thank you, or, oh, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, or there's the effective way so that you can turn every future reader of that review into someone who has got a favorable impression. And so when you, for example, when someone gives you a good review, you really want to get in there and talk about how they were a great client. Right. Mm-hmm. So you want to be able to throw that back at them and explain how they were such a great client, but at the same time, highlighting things you did to make their experience special. That's a way for you to be able to showcase your services, your skills, your characteristics, your abilities is in your thank you is pointing out, hey, I was so glad we were able to overcome this obstacle and working through this and that. And through the process of effective negotiation, we were able to do X, Y, Z. So, you want to be able to respond to positive reviews that way. If it's a negative review, it's all about taking ownership, and it's all about being seen as somebody who has taken action to take care of that customer. And so all of that is in the 5-step career acceleration plan. Yes. Guys can go ahead and download that. Let me see. I have a little note to myself on my paper here. I just want to make sure I'm covering all my bases.
Hieroglyphics, guys. I wish you could see it.
So there's good stuff in here. And so we're going to move on, though. I want to move on because this is in the plan. You've downloaded this. Many of you probably already checked this out, and you're on your way. You're well on your way. I want to get into some more new nitty-gritty, so to speak, as well as potentially help you prioritize what you should do within this plan. So I got to do something. I got to stop this presentation real quick, piece, and then I got to start another presentation for you guys. Let me get back to the one that I was on. And all right, so we're back in action. And I believe that file, if you want to download that file, just click on that download file thing that I think is showing up in the chat section. All right, back to the presentation. So I want you guys to take a moment and don't type it into this browser window because you're going to end up leaving this training and I won't be able to see it. But open up a new browser window, and so that you're not competing. And I want you to go ahead and Google yourself. Do it right now while we're talking, but just make sure you open up a new tab or a new window so that you don't accidentally leave this webinar. But I want you to Google yourself. But this time when you Google yourself, what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself some of these questions, okay? I want you to ask yourself as you scan through the search results, think about this, okay? If a prospect searched for you, what kind of questions would come into their mind as they viewed your search results? You might, by the way, if you run a quick search on yourself, you might find that there's too many Chris Scotts out there, for example. So you might have to do some qualification, like you might say, add real estate, or add your city, or add realtor, or add broker, depending on what you do. But you might have to add a little bit in there just to get yourself to show up. And that's what a person is going to have to do if they're searching for you, right? So think about these things. What questions would they come? Would they have a hard time finding you? Maybe that would be one of the questions, right? Ask yourself as you click through some of those links and review some of those things that this window, this Google search becomes the window into your online reputation. Would they think you're competent? Would they think you're good at what you do based on what they see? Would they think that they could trust you based on what they see? Now, here's the thing. You might be saying, sure. I want you to look at it from a critical eye, though. Let's assume that this person doesn't know you and they're actually looking for something wrong so they can contact somebody else. Now ask the same questions. Would they think that you're competent? Would they think that they could trust me? What kind of impression would they have based on what they see? Meaning, what characteristics or abilities would they think that I have based on what they see? Or would they think I was like everybody else that they know who happens to sell real estate, right? Would they think that I stand out from other agents they may know or have heard of or recently searched because they came across this information? Now, you'll probably want to take a screenshot of these things and spend a little bit more time thinking about these. Later on today, I'm going to give you our 4 checklist, which stands for the Formula for Online Reputation Enhancement Checklist. But here's the thing. If I just give you the checklist, you're going to experience a problem. And here's what the problem is going to be. You're not going to, when it comes to execution of that plan, you're not going to do it as well if you don't understand why you're making the changes that you are and how this all works. Because if you just follow the plan without understanding why and how this works, your level of execution on a scale of 1 to 10 is going to be like a 2 or 3. Versus if you understand how and why this works, and then I give you the checklist of what to do to enhance your online reputation, now you're going to be kicking in at like an 8, 9, 10. And so that's why we're spending more time asking these questions, because as you go to cultivate your online presence, you must be thinking from the perspective of, based on what they see, will they think I'm competent? Based on what they see, will they believe that they can trust me? This is somebody who does not know me, right? Based on what they see, is it going to create a favorable impression that they can see that they'll have an advantage in working with me as opposed to somebody else? And so that's what I want you to be thinking about as you look at those search results. Now, I do have a bit of a tool for you guys. And this tool is from our ASAP course, our Agent Sales Acceleration Program course. And it's the Online Identity Scoring Chart. Because a lot of times what I know it happens is people will go and they'll Google themselves, and you got 2 people that are out there. Okay. Some people are like, oh man, look, it's horrible, right? And then other people see one search result and they're like, atta girl, player. Like, I just observed this. Like, some people, maybe it's how we were raised. Some people always see the faults, and other people's always see like the silver lining to it. So it's like, yes, well, I got 1 search result, baby. And other people are like, man, I only occupy the first 3 pages of Google when someone searches me. So what I wanted to do is to give you some objective criteria. And I'm going to share this with you as a download. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to stop file sharing that career acceleration program. And I'm going to give you this online identity scoring chart. I'm going to click on share file, and you should be able to download this as we talk about it. Now, here's the way this document is organized. If you've ever been to a higher level of education, or if you've administered, well, I guess actually they even do this in middle school now too, is using a rubric, right? So if you've ever been through middle school, high school, college, if you were being graded on a project, sometimes your teachers might have given you a rubric. So I used the same format of a rubric to be able to give you a tool that you can use to further qualify your online identity or your online reputation. So, the first step was asking those questions as we clicked on those search results. But then what we want to do is score, 3, 2, 1, or 0, the following factors, right? You want to look at the first page of search results. A score of a 3 here would be the entire first page of search results are ones related to you. A score of a 0 on that one would be no results are related to you, okay? The next thing on here is search terms producing results. So what this means is as you go to type your name and information, whether something happens or not. So a score of a 3 here would be just typing in your name into Google produces search results on the first page of Google. Otherwise, or you might have to type your name, location. So it really gets down to how easy is it to find you? Do they have to go through several iterations to be able to find you online, or is it fairly easy to find you? So you would score 3210. Now, if you've got a really unique name, you by default have a 0, right? Like if I changed my name to Christopher Winnipesaukee Sebastian Moses, I'm probably the only person named that, and so
we had Vladimir in the chat saying all you guys just need to change your name.
Exactly. So if you got a unique name, then chances are you're. By the way, if it works, it's working. I mean, that's the thing. Chris Scott, unfortunately,
and Jordan Terry too.
I had to do a lot of work to get to show up. I don't think just Chris Scott. There's a lot apparently Chris Scotts. Although ironically, I've never met a Chris Scott. But there's apparently a lot of them out there. I've just never met one. But so for me, I would have to type in Chris Scott real estate, right? I have to go to the step further. And so you might too. And that's where you would score for yourself, 3210. The next thing is the number of sites you control. And what this means is of the search results that do show up, which are yours versus somebody else's, like maybe one of the home search sites, right? Or one of the yellow pages, I think might show up. So, but ones that you've proactively done something. So on the first page, so a score of a 3 for that one would be on the first page of search results. 5 or more of the search results are accounts or sites that you have set up, okay? And so the different numbers there are associated with how many of those sites you have control over on that first page of search results. And then the next thing to score is the number of sites with mentions about you. Like for me, for example, I had authored some articles for some other publications, I think like Inman and a few others, and do those show up? So maybe you were a guest, where you're referenced by somebody else. So some of you, it's going to be there's none of those results. Some of you might have 3 or more. And then the last thing to score here is the first impression produced when clicking on the top 3 links. A score of a 3 here would be the information on the first 3 links shows your expertise and produces a sense of confidence for the reader. And then, of course, a 0 would be that it does not convey that you even sell real estate or develop a sense of expertise or confidence. So take this sheet and go to, after this session, take this. You can download it right here and then go through those search results and start to score yourself and see what your score is. But this rubric gives you a sense of, all right, this is how, if you base off of, if you take what we talked about before, which is what are the questions to ask as I'm Googling myself, and you couple that with this scoring chart, you're already going to start to see, regardless of the plan that I'm about to give you guys, you're already going to start to see what needs to be done. And that's why I wanted you to do this, and I wanted you to go through this process of asking these questions and then scoring yourself, because now, once you've gone through this, you already know what you should do. Now I'm going to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to give you a runway or a checklist of things to do so that you know exactly what to focus on. But now already, hopefully, you're starting to see what you should do. And I'm going to pause. Do we have any questions and stuff that we need to address before we move on?
We have a lot of review-specific questions.
Okay.
Do you have a section for reviews that we could save those for?
Let's bring those up in a little bit towards a little bit later towards the end. But yes.
And we have a couple about search results. Jim wants to know, why would anyone search my name if they're looking to work with me?
Oh, perfect question. I couldn't have asked for a better question to help clarify why to do this. So according, Google, several years ago, Google did a study, and what they found is that for people who are going to buy or sell a home, that they researched their agent extensively online before contacting them. So underscore the word extensively online. So most consumers, when they're going to work with you, they don't just pick up the phone and call you. First off, they don't even know your phone number, and the chances of them using the yellow pages has gone down pretty significantly, in recent history. So even just to get your contact information, they're probably going to Google you to see if they can find you, to give you a call or send you an email. Here's what also happens. Let's say they were referred to you, all right? So maybe they either heard of you, through word of mouth, maybe you just kind of known in the community, or they were referred specifically by somebody that they know. These days, people don't just hand them the business card and the person calls you just out of the blue. People take the first step and say, well, let me Google this individual, because what they're going to do is validate what they heard about you by just checking you out online, right? They're going to check you out online before they make that initial contact. And oftentimes it's just to find you to make that initial contact in the first place. So if you know they're likely Googling you and searching you, and here's what happens. They're going to be working with you, right, to buy or sell probably the most expensive thing they're ever going to buy or sell for 99% of people. And so if you're going to be working with them to buy or sell the most expensive thing they're ever going to buy or sell, then they want to make sure that you're legit. They're going to make sure, and they're not just going to be happy with a random, pick out of the yellow pages. No, they want to be able to validate with as much information as they can that you are who you say you are, or that you are who people say you are. Remember what we talked about, having that reputation, what that reputation is, that good name. The internet gives them the opportunity to validate that good name. I mean, oftentimes what happens is, have you ever been referred, it's just like getting referred to a doctor and getting multiple doctors that you're going to refer to, or a lawyer. So where do you find that? You go online, you start searching and researching. And if they're going to commit to you to buy or sell the most expensive thing that they've ever bought or sold, chances are they're going to do it pretty extensively, right? They're not going to be satisfied with just a little blurb about you. They want to see as much information as they possibly can. So thank you for that question. It was a great question. Hopefully I answered that effectively.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are saying that other agents are showing up before them in their search results, or in one case, there's what happened to Gary, a criminal is coming up instead of them.
Oh, so you're in the right place. Actually, what was the
Yeah, so we're going to get into the steps on what to do to take care of that particular situation. But the short answer is you just have to be more dedicated to portraying your online presence, or strengthening your online presence, than those people are.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You guys are here, so you have a huge advantage to the people who are not making their online identity a focus, or their online reputation a focus. And it's this: most of those results that you're seeing there for your name, it's just happening by accident. Yours, theirs, and everybody's just kind of happening without an intentional approach. In fact, I would encourage you guys, go Google Gary Kreth. You can just Google Gary Kreth Realtor, and you'll see something that looks like this. I just did it either yesterday or this morning, and so you'll see his looks pretty good, right? The first link there when I did this search was our website. Then you see the MLS site. Then you see his Facebook page. You see videos that we've put onto YouTube showing up here because I named those properly. If you continue to go down there, you'll see that our YouTube channel shows up. His LinkedIn profile shows up. Actually, his brother shows up right there, who also is on our real estate team, so that's okay. And then he's showing up for the Houston Association of Realtors. That was interesting. Showing up on another one of the websites, and then on his agent, his marketing website from us. And so you'll see that's what it looks like now. When Gary first did this, there was another Gary who had broken the law and had a criminal record, and it showed up in spot number 1. And Gary was like, wow, people are going to, no one's going to hire me. So, but what he did is as he worked on it, as there were more relevant search results, it pushed that one further down. And that's what we're trying to do, is to create more relevant results that come up for us, but also ones that are designed to make us stand out, ones that are designed to build up that good reputation, and that good reputation online. And so that's what we're going to get into today. Notice here, I will point out, notice how those videos show up. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome when people run a search on you and videos show up because they're on YouTube and they've been named properly and they show up as part of the search results. You look really good. You look really good, because the person who searches that, they immediately start clicking on the videos, and then like if you've done,
especially if they're all like themed, like the ones in this example page, it makes you just look really professional.
Yeah,
you know,
like you know what you're doing. You look
together.
like you look like a competent individual who stands out above everybody else. Now, first things first, before I get into that cool technology stuff, I wanted to give you guys, I wanted to give you a template or a format that you can use to write a bio for yourself. Now, a bio is really important. In fact, in that career acceleration plan that I shared with you guys earlier, you're going to see there's a 10-step bio writing checklist in there. And I got a new one from one of our club members. You guys probably know or have heard of Jim Pruitt. He's very active in the private Facebook group. Gary featured him recently with Hillary Gaynor and Jim Pruitt, where they were talking about the strategies that they were using to sell $3 million of real estate every month. And so when I was talking to Jim, and I know from my previous experience with Jim that he's all about creating a really, really strong bio page or an about me page on your website. Okay. And so I asked him, I was like, well, can you give me an example that I could share with everybody of what a good one looks like?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, sure. And I'm going to show it to you in just a second. And then he gave me the 10 steps, right? So he gave me the 10 steps. And if you want, you'll see here his email address. If you want to get a complete guide on writing a bio from Jim, just email him at pruittmarketinggroup@gmail.com. Or just go to the private Facebook group and search Jim Pruitt and message him, like, yo, can you send me that bio, the guide on writing a good bio? I'm going to review these 10 steps, but I'm actually going to pull up an example of a real website that Jim worked on and what this looks like, so you can see how this, how this actually manifests itself. Because I can just give you these 10 tips, but unfortunately, you won't know how to execute it without a good working example. So the first step is you're going to write a title, but you're actually going to make this the last step and do that last. You're going to start with a client problem or desire, interest that they have. You're going to expand on that client pain. You're going to show how you, as the agent, can help. You're going to include the first 3 steps of how to get started. You're going to add a personal story. You're going to add 4 to 5 qualification and experience items. Be sure to have some good call to actions in your bio page. And then you're going to show any certification logos or certification education that you've got, and then include 3 reviews. I really encourage you to build out a strong bio page for your website, because this thing can be copied, modified, and pasted and put into all your other places that you show up, right? So this can show up on your LinkedIn profile. This can show up on all your social media profiles, but a more abbreviated version of it. But when you have a really solid and good one, then it's easy for you to take it from snippets, and it really can shape, for me, for example, my YouTube channel, it's got some bio information in there. Well, if I start with a really solid one for our website, you can copy and modify it and paste it. So we're going to take a look at, this is actually one of our marketing club members, Gretchen Merrick.
We've got a few Gretchens on the call today.
Yay!
Is Gretchen Merrick here today? Let us know.
Gretchen, I told Jim to tell you I was going to be sharing it so you wouldn't freak out. Okay, he said yes, it was okay.
But if
good
not,
news.
Surprise!
But Gretchen works with Jim, and he helped her put this page together. And so you can see, and I tried to highlight. So the title of the page is A Home to Fit. Now remember, we were going to do that last though. But he starts with let me just get my little drawing thingy here. And I'm going to do a little highlighting here. Boom. Okay. So, sorry, I was getting lost with this thing. Okay. So he's going to start with the client, problem, and desire. So right here, he gets into, all right, you need a home that fits. You have noticed lately your home is not quite right for you anymore. It may be too big or too small, or you want to move to a new neighborhood, right? So that's starting with the client problem. And then he expands on the pain right here. But wait, first you got to sell your current home. And the question is, how long will it take? And how much is it worth? And how do I pick a new neighborhood, right? So all of that, what that's doing is it's identifying that problem or that initial desire or interest, and then expanding on that. And that's marketing 101 or copywriting 101 is you start with the client, you start with the reader first, and you put what they care about, what they're thinking about, what a challenge or issue that they have, because people start to self-select. And so he's putting that right on the top of the page here. While I'm here, I'm going to point out he's got call to action here, with a contact me form. And then as we move down here, he explains this is how you as the real estate professional can help. And so the answer here just in the copy says easy. Gretchen is your South Santa Clara County neighborhood specialist. First, she makes selling your home home a smooth experience, serving the South Santa Clara County area for more than 18 years. She knows the area and she knows what it takes to make a home sell. She works with a team of marketing experts, including staging, photography, property websites, Facebook, social media, to make sure you get the best price for your current house. So what that doing is that's just showing the individual who's looking at this, oh, that's how this works. That's what she's going to do. Then, like in that format, it said share the first 3 steps to get started. So there's the first few steps of this is what you're going to do. Pick the right neighborhood, choose the home, and then get into the financing, inspection, and changes. Then we get into the personal story. I'm not going to read the personal story, but I just know that the personal story is in there so that what that personal story does is it starts to draw that connection. Because yes, people want to know that you're competent, but they also people want to hire, especially when it comes to real estate, somebody that they actually like, right? Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to hire a jerk. They want to hire somebody that they know can get the job done, and they're going to enjoy spending as much time as we are together, either buying or selling that home. And so they're going to want to hire somebody that not only believe to be competent, that they enjoy being around. So that's why it's so important to draw that personal story, that personal connection. Notice we didn't lead with it. We don't lead with, here, this is all about me. No, we lead with, it's all about you and what you're trying to accomplish. It's only after we answer those questions effectively that we move into, here's who I am. And then move on from backing that personal story up to talking about what are the actual qualifications. Why should you hire me? So it gets into why should you hire Gretchen as your realtor? He's got 4 to 5 qualifications here. One of them being lots of experience, another one being knowledge of the real estate transaction and skilled negotiation. And so including those in there, what that does now, they've got that personal connection that's being drawn, but also they've got specific. Remember we talked about the reputation, and what was it? According to Merriam-Webster, it's the characteristics or the abilities that are going to be associated with us or our good name. So in this case, what we're doing is we're showing and we're telling them what characteristics and abilities that they should associate with us. In Gretchen's case, it's as a skilled negotiator. It's as having knowledge of the real estate transaction, having lots of experience. So she's taking these points and making it what they should know about her and what makes working with Gretchen unique, right? Another one here is true enjoyment of helping people. So all of a sudden, then that's what's cool about an online identity or an online reputation, is rather than hoping somebody's going to say the right thing, it's actually right there for the person to read. Mm-hmm. And you've shaped what that message is going to be. Yeah. And that's what a proactive approach is all about.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note that this is a long bio. Mm-hmm. This is not the same bio that's going to be on every...
No, but you start with the longest one so you can trim it up.
Right. And it's worth making it long and detailed like this because the person who reads this, who takes the time to read this, that's a person who's serious about trying to figure out if you're a good fit for them. Yeah. Right?
You raise a good question. People will oftentimes ask me, or they'll ask us, or I'll see it in the private Facebook group, how long should something be? Mm-hmm. How long should the copy be in an advertisement?
Charles even just asked, do you think this is too much information?
How long should a video be? How long should this web page be? How long should a landing page be? I'm oftentimes being asked how long something should be because what we think is that it should be short, that it should be abbreviated, get to the point, and they either want it or they don't. But the truth of the matter is that's not how we operate, right? That's not how we actually operate about something that we have an interest in. Now, let me ask you guys, how many of you first off, how many of you guys have Netflix? All right. I'm assuming all of you have Netflix. All right. How many of you have ever binge watched a series? I'm talking about watching 3, 4, 5 episodes all in one sitting. Heck, maybe you watched 3 or 4 or 5 seasons in one sitting. Raise your hand. How many of you guys have done that or are guilty of doing that? And so most of us have done something like that. Maybe it wasn't a series on Netflix. Maybe it was a podcast that you listened to, and the podcast is an hour, 2 hours long. Or a movie. How many of you gone to a movie and and it didn't matter how long that movie was. Like for me, Endgame, like it was a 3-hour movie, and you were perfectly content sitting there for that 3-hour movie. I mean, there's many for the things that we have an interest in. We absolutely want that long form of information because there's no way to satisfy our curiosity or the interest that we have with the short form. So what we're trying to do here is remember, the person reading this is not the person who's just scanning and is not interested in buying or selling a home. The person who's reading this is like seriously on the cusp of working with you, and they're looking to make sure that you're the right fit. And you don't want to stop short and they're like, maybe I should check out this other person because I seem to know a lot more about this other person than I do about you, when you almost had him. You almost had him. And so that's why I am a very big proponent of long form. However, I understand that there are certain mediums in which you must use short form to be able to get to the long form. What would be an example of that? Social media, right? So Facebook, if you're going to do a Facebook video, yes, you can do a 2, 3, 4, 5-minute video, but you got to get to the point in the first 15 seconds. And a percentage of people will watch the longer form. In YouTube, you got a little bit longer of a time frame to work with. But heck, with a YouTube video, you could literally speak, have one for an hour, 2 hours, as long as, you could give a home buying seminar on YouTube, right? And it could be 2-3 hours long. And the person who's interested is one and who watches, 60, 70, 80, 100% of that. That's who you're really catering to, not the person who just watched the first 5 minutes. And so don't let here's the thing. You're not interested in hiring Gretchen. So you're not going to read this unless you're specifically trying to figure out what she's doing and how Jim has crafted her page to do this. But outside of that, you're not hiring her, so it's not something that you are inherently interested in, and that's okay. Sorry, Gretchen. But most people, because they're not going to hire Gretchen, that's not what they're looking. They're going to look at this. There's a lot of stuff I got to read. But conversely, let's say you're going to go hire a doctor and you found information about them online and you were going to hire them for, a big procedure. You'd probably want to make sure that you wouldn't be satisfied with the amount of information that you would come across. So with that, I think that's about all. Oh, there's the certification logos right here. And then 3 reviews. Sorry. I
told you to turn those off.
I turned it off on my phone, but I didn't turn it off here. So the 3 reviews are right there. And then let's see. There's the other 2 reviews. And so that's that bio page. All right. Let me just check my notes if you want to check real quick to see if we got any questions before I move on to the next step. So once we have that bio page, now we can start taking snippets of that. But now we can get into the actual activities of what's the checklist? What are the things that I should do or that you should do to enhance your online reputation? So I'm going to turn this thing off. And so I wanted to introduce 4, F-O-R-E. I worked really hard on this one. Formula for online reputation enhancement. So implementing the 4 process is very simple. All you have to do is create objectives to improve each of the components that we're going to talk about of your online reputation proactively. So I'm going to give you this formula, which is so simple, and then I'm going to give you the checklist, and there's probably, a dozen, 2 dozen different things on the checklist of things that you're going to do. And in some cases, you're going to do these things once, or you just kind of update them periodically. In other cases, you're going to have a higher frequency activity. As long as you're doing this intentionally and you're doing a portion of it, you don't even have to do all of it. You just got to do some of it. Okay. But let's take a look at what, from a practical, I'm using the wrong mouse here. From a practical perspective, what is your online reputation? Well, here's what it consists of. It consists of websites. All right. And those are websites that are yours and other sites that reference or mention you. Okay. It's social media. Right? It's the accounts that you post to, as well as all of your engagement with others online. So it's not just about what you say on your business page or you say on your Instagram profile. It's what you say representing yourself as you go interact with others. Now, some of you don't even do that, right? Like a lot of you don't do that necessarily for business purposes. But we recently did a member training with Sue Zimmerman, who's the Instagram expert or Instagram expert. And one of the things that she had shared with everybody is that, hey, if you know you're not going to be posting regularly on Instagram and you just don't have the time, energy, resources right now to post a lot, it's actually more important for you to engage with others who might become customers than it is for you to just post and broadcast information, because your engagement not just engages that individual, but engages, others online. And that's an impression that happens with your online reputation. So your social media, when it comes to your reputation and online reputation, it's just not the accounts that you post to, but it's also how you engage with others on social media. There's online reviews, and I know a lot of you had questions about online reviews, so we will spend some time talking about that today as well. And online reviews include both your positive and your negative, and your responses to negative ones. And then also your online reputation in real estate includes all of your profiles on like those home search sites that are out there. That many of them, they have the ability for you to set up a free profile on there, and you will get ratings and reviews from those home search sites because of the sheer volume and traffic that they have. Now that you know what your online identity consists of, and you have an idea of what you should be doing to improve it, because we scored, we use that scoring chart, so you know what you want to attack, and what, like from a positioning standpoint, all right, what are the questions that I need to be answering with each one of those things that show up in my search results. Now we're ready to get into the checklist, because now I can spend a lot less time just saying, go do this, go do this, go do this, because you have all the background of understanding to where it'll save us a lot of time. In this checklist, what you're going to see is that we have a section on online reviews, and I think that's where we're going to spend some time answering your guys' questions about online reviews. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop sharing the previous online identity scoring chart file, and I'm actually going to share a new file, which is this four checklist. Yes. I'm all about the cool names and acronyms. All right, so let me go ahead and share that file while we get started here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go through this guy in some decent detail here, and then we'll keep moving. All right.
Just really quickly, because I can't answer this in the chat. Michael Blaine Ford is having trouble seeing the chat. Michael, if you've collapsed the chat, you should be able to uncollapse it by clicking on that red button. Yeah. And everybody else, your questions are awesome. I'm holding them until we come to appropriate spots, but know that I'm not ignoring you. Keep them coming.
Right. So when you download this, you're going to see that there's different sections. There's website, there's social media, and there's online reviews. Within social media, you've got accounts, posting, and engagement. I'll explain that when we get there. So the first thing within the website, and I know if you guys can't read it, just download it and open up the document off to the side there so that you can follow along. But under the website, the first step is to update your bio. And what I did is I gave you guys Jim Pruitt's checklist, and we also looked at how he solved that problem for Gretchen. And you've got a formula now for updating your bio on your website. You also can do a synthesis of that, drop it on Facebook on your business page, drop it in Instagram, even a more condensed version, sites with reviews, on LinkedIn in your description, right? So utilize that bio and repurpose it. If you spend a decent amount of time working on it, then it gets a heck of a lot easier to put it in other places. Here's what I've noticed, and I'm guilty of the same thing, actually, is, and I know, unfortunately, but I'm even more guilty of it, because I already know that the devil's in the details when it comes to effective marketing. And so, for example, if I'm going to create a business page, I know that the little details of configuration and filling out every little thing that I can, every little piece of information about the description and the contact information on the business page, I know that's required for it to perform well. Sometimes I look over it, but I don't want you guys to make that mistake. So the bio is often something that we kind of gloss over. We just kind of throw stuff out there. It's like, oh, I love someone else, yada, yada, yada. Use an effective blueprint. Once you've got a really good bio, then you can synthesize that, and that should be in every single social media account that you have, every website, every site that you have reviews, because here's what's happening. The only person who's going to read that, there's only one type of person that's going to read it. Well, there's two. There's you and your family, maybe, right? But the type of person who's going to read it is the one who's thinking of hiring you, because they want to know, they want to validate that you are the right fit for them. And this is the only place that they can really do that online. And if you haven't taken, and the easiest step is maybe they see on YouTube or they see on Facebook or they see it in social media. The easiest step is to go click on your profile, click on your information, and it's either there or not there. And when it's not there, it's a miss. Then you're forcing them to have to go research instead of controlling that experience. So that's why we do it. So you want to make sure also is even if you already have a website, set up your marketing website provided by the Paperless agent. There's no additional fee for you to do that. It is a resource for you, and it's just one more place for you to show up potentially online. And we automatically post a blog article for you there every single month. So it's another way for you to look professional online. You can also go to claim a free profile site from about.me. About.me is a free profile site. It's free, but if you want to do their upgraded version and have a custom URL for it, like I did, it's $48 a year. Also, make sure in your website and whether it's ours or other folks' website, make sure that the title, right, the HTML title of your website has your name, location, and what you do. Sell real estate. Make sure that information is in there. It's going to make it easier for you to get found. When you're posting articles on and you should post articles on, if you have a blog, you should be posting articles on your blog at least once a month so it doesn't look like you've gone stale and forgotten about it. By the way, we give you a blog article and we either post it on your site, or if you've got another website, just copy and paste it over there.
Yes, it's included in your Marketing Club membership. It's called the Monthly Value Program. Yep. There's a bunch of different components as part of the marketing the Monthly Value Program, but a blog post is the most important one that we're talking about here.
Yep. So then let's see here. Write an article for an online publication. That one might be harder to do. That'd be an advanced level one, but here's what that looks like. Let's say there is a lifestyle, fashion, like lifestyle and living type publication that you have locally. You might be able to approach them and say, I'd love to be able to share an article that I've written just for you guys. Don't share them one of the blog posts. No, it should be just for them. Now you have to do a little research. I haven't done that. Like there's also firms that you can pay to do that for you, but then you can also approach others. That's more of an advanced level one. You also don't have to just do it locally. You could also like approach one of the big news sites. You could go to like Inman or maybe RIS Media or some of the other industry sites and share tips and advice that might be more for your peers. But what happens is if one of your customers sees that you are elevated to the level of, hey, I can share my expertise and knowledge of even within my industry, it elevates you even that much more. Oftentimes when people search for Gary, for example, our training videos for the Paperless Agent show up and they end up watching a lot of them. And they're like, man, I can't believe you do all this stuff. I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity. And it's just because they see that he's elevated to the level of where he's even willing to share his information, and that's okay as well. So when it gets to social media, I want to synthesize what you should do with social media. I know there's a million different things that you could do. The accounts that you should have and that you should focus on are LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and I highly encourage YouTube. But LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, that's where not everybody's on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn almost always shows up when people search for you. So that's why we do LinkedIn. And yes, that's a search result on Google that we want to show up. We want it to show up really well. So that's why I include LinkedIn, for no other reason that it's going to show up on the search results. It's like having your resume online. And you're like, I don't need a resume. I'm real estate. No, your clients are hiring you, though. They're hiring you to do a job. It's to sell their home or to help buy one. So it's good to have that information online. Facebook and Instagram. The reason why although you could do Pinterest and you could do other social media sites out there, the fact is, Facebook has 2 billion users, and then Instagram has 1 billion users. That's everybody. So you look at those numbers, and by the way, Facebook owns Instagram. You moved on, you go down to like Snapchat, you move down to Twitter, you're talking about hundreds of millions of users. It's such a small percentage of the population that you've got to go to so many places, even Snapchat. The people aren't there. There's not enough people on there. And so if you're going to spend some time posting and sharing, interacting online, go to where everybody's at. And so that's why I suggest at a minimum having LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I suggest for this reason is that it's really cool when you can get it to show up on the search results. And I also am very bullish when it comes to doing video and video-based marketing. I'm going to share a really cool story in just a moment. And it's at first I thought, well, maybe it was something that was relevant, just something that Gary and I had happen. I mean, one of our clients, Ted Williams, had this happen, and he was reporting this to me just yesterday. I was talking to him about it, and I had to include it in today's presentation. So that's the social media that you need. And so in when it gets to posting, in terms of the frequency of posting, post once a week on Facebook, once a week on Instagram, once a month maybe on LinkedIn, and then for YouTube, post videos of listings, real estate tips, maybe an about me video as often as you can. All right. I understand that you're probably not going to be able to produce videos with that high level of frequency. So maybe set a goal of 1 video a month. Whatever you can do, I would like for you to do. Now, remember, when we're posting, we're building confidence. We want people to see us being competent. We're taking everything that we remembered from the type of reputation that we have, and we're going to share that type of information within our social media accounts, right? Facebook, I'm not asking you to do it that often, just once a week. And I'm not doing it for the organic search. Again, it's for when people search and they're seeing that you're doing that on a regular basis. Same thing with Instagram, same thing with LinkedIn. YouTube as well. And so when that they go search. So this is a different strategy than posting for like lead generation. This is a strategy for posting for online reputation. Mm-hmm. So it's very purposeful posts, right? You're not just posting whatever happens to come across your mind. Every time you post one of these types of posts, it's speaking directly to your online reputation. All right. Each one should be done on purpose. Each one should specifically address the questions of, all right, how do I promote the reputation? What are the characteristics and abilities that I want people to see that I have based on this information that I'm posting? Okay. Engagement. Well, with engagement, you should, as you're going through and comment, you should connect with people on Facebook by commenting on their posts. Same thing with Instagram. And then recruit people that you know on Facebook and Instagram to connect on LinkedIn. So as you're connecting with people on Facebook and Instagram, send them a LinkedIn request, because now you've got that additional connection. And you could even say in your LinkedIn request, hey, since we connected on Facebook, let's connect here as well. Just creating that additional level of connection. Now we get in the online review section, okay? I almost want to go do something real quick here. Hold on. Do I want to do this? Nah, I'll wait. All right. After we talk about online reviews, I want to give you some news sources. Basically a lot of the national news sites that I follow help get you some more real estate industry stuff that you can share on purpose, right? It's not what you're going to do all the time, but when we're posting on purpose, you probably want to be seen as a real estate expert. You probably want people to see you as having certain characteristics and qualities related to your knowledge about the market. So I'm going to give you a list of, I think, maybe 8 to 10 sites that you can pull information from, that you can share from, or even create new graphics, images, or even just share the links. That's going to position you that way. But for online reviews, set up a profile on realtor.com. It's free. Set up a profile on Zillow. Some of you have MLSs that also have this type of feature, so set it up there if you have it. I know Austin does. Respond to positive reviews. I know I kind of talked about this a little bit, but by featuring details of your service. So when you respond to someone who says, hey, thank you so much, and they give you a positive review, highlight a little bit about what their experience is and what service that you did so people can see what you did for them. When you respond to negative reviews, show your responsiveness, take ownership of the experience, and offer to resolve the situation. That's what you want. You want people, it's not so much about their experience, because a lot of times there's nothing you can do, but you want everyone else see you being responsive. You want everyone else seeing you taking ownership of their experience, and you want everyone else seeing you attempting to resolve the situation. And the last thing is, on the marketing website provided by Paperless Agent, you can add reviews there as well. And that in that 5-step career acceleration plan, there's a link to show you how to do that. Okay. Now I know we had questions about online reviews. So before we move on, let's get into that.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Actually, can we take a second to grab some random ones before we talk about reviews?
Okay.
Angie wants to know why a commercial name for a website is not as effective once you promote it and your own name is linked to it. What's the difference between promoting your personal name versus a business name? And what are the strategies behind that?
Oh, so if I have
Kreth Partners versus Gary Kreth.
Okay. Yeah. So What is the difference, or is there a benefit to one or the other?
Like if you are focused on growing your business, should you also grow your personal identity?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So yes and yes. So if you're like, so we have our team, our business is Creth Partners. Okay. We're a team. We have a team of folks that take care of our clients. But oftentimes when we get referred, it is because of the personal connection. Because who does that individual work with? Well, that individual works with you, another individual. And so, yes, you will want to work on building and promoting a name. Like if you have a business name and they were more than one person, then yes, you absolutely should do that. And if your goal is to expand that even more, where you have a team of folks, maybe even a brokerage, then absolutely, it's beyond just you. However, if what you currently primarily do is sell real estate, help people buy and sell homes, what's happening already is that you're having a reputation being built that is about you. And so what we're trying to capitalize is what's happening in the real offline world of a word of mouth being developed, and building on top of that with the online world and being able to build that online reputation. And so as much as we would like to be able to control, let's say, you're working with folks, but you also have a business, you have clients and they're referring you. They're probably not referring your firm, but if you actually like showed them the home or you listed and sold their home, when they refer, they're probably going to say, oh, you should work with Jordan. They're not going to say you should work with Creth Partners. They probably don't even remember my company name. They might, because it's Creth, and that's like, if they worked with Gary, they'd be like, oh, you should work with Creth something or other. Gary Creth, that's the guy you need to work with. Like, that's what's going to happen, because it's such a I'm sure in so many other types of businesses that wouldn't be the case. Real estate is such a personal business. We end up building relationships with our clients, whether we like it or not, right? And so it's such a personal, intimate experience in working with a client through this process, that when they refer us, the thing that they're going to remember is your face, your name, and what it was like to work with you and what they enjoyed. And often, if they also had some disappointing things, they'll remember that too. But when they refer us, that's what they're going to refer. If you happen to have both, then work on both. But know that you already have a reputation being built, word of mouth for you personally, unless you're not selling real estate.
So Paul wants to know if the Google search is based only on your name without realtor or real estate, or the city where we're doing business.
You probably have to add, because like I said, if you have a common name.
Even if you don't have a common name. But I think that it's important to remember that today's online users are intelligent in that way. Right. There was a study on how people use Google, and people are actually typing in full questions into Google nowadays, more than just like search terms.
Oh, I did this the other day.
Yeah. So it is, if you think about it from that way, it is more likely that someone is going to be like Gary Creth, Austin real estate, and with a bunch of identifiers for Gary Creth, and that would make it more likely for his pertinent
people
search
are used to
results to
searching.
show up. Yeah.
People are used to searching. I did this the other day. I was trying to figure out how many calories I'm allowed to eat in a day, because I'm working on getting gains, right? And so, so what I did, I think at first thing I typed in was calories day, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. Yeah. So I literally typed in, how many calories should I eat every day? And I found the search result that I was looking for. People are very smart when it comes to how they search. They all have the experience of finding something and not finding something. So that's okay that they would have to do that. Also know that the Google algorithm does take into account location. And so if you do a search and I do a search, if I'm in Austin and you're somewhere else, then chances are we're going to come up with different search results. All right, because the algorithm takes into account the location of the searcher and the relevant search results related to that. All right, next question.
Let's talk about reviews now. Okay, so Penny is concerned about asking for reviews multiple times. She says also that part of her association includes a survey being sent out to her clients, and she's worried that asking people for a review and to fill out the survey is asking too much from them. And how I wanted to answer that, and I'm sure you're going to add your own perspective to it, but we did a training. Every training we've ever done on your listing presentation or your buyer presentation includes a portion of setting expectations. And I think that's really, really crucial. Like once you begin starting with a person, right at the pre-listing packet kind of stage or like any information you send to somebody before you actually meet with them in person. You just kind of include reviews, set up the expectation that a review is just part of the process. The more normal you make it seem right from the outset, the more likely they're going to be to do it at the end when you actually need a review from them. So it's all about setting expectations, and you don't have to feel weird about it. I mean, it is a very normal, common practice. It's not going to take them a long time, especially if you give them stuff to talk about. You know, like, I'd love for you to write me add a review for me. I think our experience getting our beating that cash offer was really valuable, or something where you like prompt them on what you would like to see in a review. It'll make it easier for them and therefore more likely for them to do it.
Yeah, and you could wait a month. Like, they're going to get that. Did you say it was from the MLS that they get that?
The survey is...
The survey is from the MLS?
From her association.
From her association, yeah. Or not the MLS, but from the... Yeah. So, I mean, that's actually a huge benefit, because it's you don't control it, though. But at least it's somewhat agnostic in terms of, if, let's say, you're using a service or not. So, I mean, that's actually a huge benefit to that they're gathering a rating or a review for you. And if it's showing up on the search results, that's good. When it comes to online reviews, I oftentimes, even with the ones that I shared with you here, Realtor.com, Zillow, your MLS, I share those because those are the easiest ones. Unfortunately, there is a caveat to it. Is you don't control it. You don't own it. The only time you can actually control it is if you go out and set it up somewhere else. For example, Google reviews. I actually recommend doing Google reviews. I didn't include it in here because I think it's an advanced level online review concept, and it's definitely an advanced level online review implementation. But Google reviews is very effective, and the reason why it's so effective is you control it. Like, that's your account, but you do have to then go the extra added step. Now you have to start going in soliciting folks to be able to fill that information out. And so there's a give and take with it. And each one, like, I'm all about the easy though, right? The reasons why I like Realtor.com, Zillow, chances are because of their search traffic, it shows up. It's going to show up in the search results. And so you do want to have a presence there. You don't want to not be represented there. But when having Google reviews is something that you really control really well. I believe when I was talking to Christopher Dean for that member training that we did on Google Ads, where he was featuring his basically the fact that they had 700 some reviews, that was through their association.
Yeah. I think if you can, ask for the review as soon as possible, because that's when they're more likely to actually do it. But in Penny's situation, if there is a survey that you can't control, it's going to go out regardless, then you might want to stagger it. But I don't know that it is... I don't think that it's too much to ask for them to complete a survey and write you a review.
Well, and know that this is just one part of the whole picture of your online reputation. The good news is, you have representation of reviews, right, through that survey online. Hopefully, when you do a search on yourself, that's one of the things that show up is from them.
Yeah.
If not, then that's a different question, and you might want to take a more proactive approach and claim one of these sites and have that run. But if you're showing up for these others, then you don't need to ask for the additional review, because if you're showing up on Realtor.com, Zillow, and your MLS site, you may not need to go out and do that extra step because it's there. You've got that part of it covered.
For sure. So we recommend getting most of your reviews on Google, since that's going to increase your search traffic the most. But it is important to remember that Yelp reviews are what show up on iPhones when people look up on iPhones. And like Chris said, those home search sites also have reviews that people are going to see, because there's just a lot of, they are generating a lot of traffic to their own
We
websites.
have resources for Yelp and Google reviews.
Yes.
I didn't put them in here because
they're in ACAP though.
Yes, they are in that ACAP one. I didn't put them in here because Google reviews, more sophisticated of a thing you have to do. And then Yelp, as much as I like Yelp, I always hear, whenever people, for some reason people think that Yelp is like in real estate a lead generator, and it's not.
No.
It doesn't generate any leads. People will check your stuff out and they'll validate you, but it's rare that Yelp is like going to generate any leads. No, it's great for online reputation, but if you see it as something you're going to do for lead generation, it's just not going to happen. or rare that it does. It may be the last thing that somebody looks at if it's through other stuff. So with that, that's the 4 checklists. I wanted to shift gears, and I'm just going to, for the balance of our time, we're going to answer questions.
Yes.
And I'm also going to just show off different things that you can be doing as examples of types of stuff that you can post that will boost your reputation. And then I also promised you that I was going to get into the details of what to do for getting your YouTube videos to show up when people search for you.
People keep asking about that. So let's.
And in fact, you know what? I'll go to that because I actually have an example. I was going to do this video. So if you want your videos to show up in YouTube, well, first you have to have a YouTube channel, but there's a couple of things you got to do if you want this to happen for you. So the first thing that you want to do is within the video itself, like your name, your business name, what you do, where you do it, that should be in every single post description within your videos. Now you can't see it here because it's kind of small. But when you read in this video, I talk about like a little bit about how to market the home to Austin real estate market. But then within there, it says Gary's name, full name, my full name. It says who we're with. It says how we sell real estate. We sell homes, Austin, Texas. All the stuff that they might be searching for is embedded into this video's description. Okay. Very important. That's very important. But there's another place that you also have to have that within your YouTube account, which is in the description of your YouTube channel itself. You also need to have who you are, what you do, where you do it, talk about buying and selling homes, real estate, homes for those things need to be in here as well. Because what that combination of being in the description as well as being in the actual description of the video, that's going to tell YouTube, i.e. Google, that this search result is relevant. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. Like if you create the video and you put this stuff in there, it doesn't mean like the very next day it's going to show up as a search result. I actually don't know when it started showing up for us. I just know that I created them, and then one day I was searching, and there it was. It was probably, I don't know, a few weeks when all of a sudden it started to, get traction and get recognized. So that is how you get that to show up for YouTube. And let me see, what else do I have in here? Oh, a couple of resources for you guys. Now for me, I get a lot of stuff from, we like the Austin Board of Realtors provides lots of great tools and resources so that I can look like a local market expert, so we can look like local market experts. You're probably not selling real estate in Austin. I would run a search from your board, from your MLS to see if they have stuff, resources talking about the market that you can download and share on social media. For us, we've got things like market reports and stats that we can share. So find that, Google it, ask around, see if your MLS, your board, local board has that. Ask your broker. I forget who I was talking to recently. Someone was telling me their broker maybe this was online actually on our private Facebook group. Someone mentioned that their broker provided like market reports and stuff like that. Huge advantage. So there's a lot of stuff out there like this that you guys should be using. Another one that's a great place to be able to get real estate related news is there's about 43 different metropolitan areas that have a business journal. So just type in Biz Journal and see if you've got one. I always love going in here because there's always something about like an upcoming development. Like in this case, it was 1,300 homes planned along the highways. Like I can post this information and it's about something that's happening. And yeah, it could affect a lot of people who are in South Austin. So I like to put this information and put that out there. So that's one of the news sites that I gather information from. There's also benefit in sharing national industry news sources, like the ones that I follow. That I get inspiration for content to share on social media might be from Housing Wire, Riz Media, sometimes Inman News, but Inman News is blocked, so you have to pay to get that. Fannie Mae Research and Insights is actually one of my favorite ones. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both have good research and insights. So they have like market reports. I mean, they have whole summaries of what to say, like in your videos or in social media. It's really good. I mean, and they're just reporting on it, and all you got to do is take it and modify it for your purposes. Realtor Magazine has a thing called the Realtor Magazine Daily News. You might get some inspiration there. Another one of my favorites is the National Association of Realtors Research and Statistics. There's lots of good links to both reports as well as what's happening in the market at a national level, but they also have local level market statistics as well, if you want to be able to share more of that, if you want to promote that within your online reputation. Another one of my favorites is the Mortgage Bankers Association newsroom. NAR tends to be very positive with its economic stuff, and Mortgage Bankers seems to be a little bit more on the other side of it, so I like to balance the two out. And then, of course, I'm sure a lot of you are using like CNBC Real Estate. But I follow those, and I just try to go through those once a day or every other day. And what happens is that if I come across something that I feel is worthy of sharing or creating maybe a quick Canva infographic, sharing the stat or the information or the link, then I'll do that. And remember, these are all for me, because what I'm trying to do is position us as experts, as listing experts, as local experts, as just real estate experts, and having market knowledge. And so these are the places that I go get that information.
I know we have a few Canadians on the call today. If you guys would like to help me compile a similar list for Canadian resources, I would love to work with one of you on
There's
that.
There's a good one, the Canadian Real Estate Association. I don't know if they still do, but they used to have a really good report thing. Sorry.
So obviously we know a lot about what's going on in Canada in real estate. So we would love your help on it. If you could shoot me an email to support@thepaperlessagent.com, I would appreciate any assistance on that.
Excellent. Okay, so that is national industry news sources. And then do we have any questions before?
The only questions are some clarifications and then a discussion on responding to negative reviews.
Okay.
I think we should close out on that one.
Okay.
That seems to be about it. Michael wants to know, if we get a review on one platform, is there a way to add it automatically to other platforms? If you want your customer to be associated with that review, like their profile, like a Google profile or a Yelp profile or whatever, they're going to have to write it again on whatever platform.
Yeah,
but that's not necessary. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So what we tend to train on for reviews is sending the majority of people your Google link with the hopes that a certain percentage of those will fill it out on Google, and then sending another smaller subset group your link to your Yelp profile or your Zillow profile or your Realtor.com profile, and hoping that you'll get a smattering of those in other places. You can also take the text of those reviews and put it on your website as testimonials. We have a resource for that on the Agent ID site. It's called Recommendations. You just copy and paste the text of the review, add their name. It's not going to have their picture or anything, or I think you can add their picture if they give it to you, but you would just be transcribing that. It just wouldn't be associated with any profile of theirs.
There are services that kind of do it, like Real Satisfied. I've never used Real Satisfied.
We just had someone say that they have not had a good experience with Real Satisfied. We haven't tested it.
I haven't used
either.
it. I know that the problem is that's the tools like Real Satisfied. They make it easier to collect the review, but then it's not on any of those popular sites where you actually get that traffic from. So it's not going to any of those places. If I had to prioritize what are the best places if you were going to try and control it, I think the MLS one is really good. I think that if your MLS provides it, that's a really solid place for you to have your reviews. And if they're already taking care of it, that's great. Which means then you pick one. Pick Google reviews. Probably Google reviews is the one you're going to have the most control over. But at least go through the step of claiming your profiles on Realtor.com and Zillow. I wouldn't send people to Realtor.com or Zillow specifically to fill them out, though. But I would claim my profile on those sites. But I would rather, if I was going to have somebody fill them out, I'd much rather do it to a place that I control. But what was the next question about handling negative reviews?
Oh, sorry. I misread the review on Real Satisfied. They said, I've never not received a usable review from it. So that's a good thing. So take back what I said. Maybe check out Real Satisfied if you're interested in that. So the last question is about how to deal with negative reviews.
Okay.
If specifically people who are fake reviewers and have not ever actually worked with you.
Yeah. So I get this. We've gotten this one. They never were a client, but they went on social media because they said, I called you and you didn't call me back, and we looked at our logs and like we never got a call from anybody, from them, or they said I emailed you and you didn't email me back. You're very unresponsive, and so you must suck. And we're like, well, we never got an email address from this individual or an email from this individual. I wonder what they're talking about. And so you're going to see some of that. And the best way to handle that is to call it out with as much description as possible. So let's say someone says that's a false review, because like sometimes I don't know who does this stuff, but like if they weren't a customer and they had it, like, I don't know, all right, let me just tell you how to deal with it. So let's say someone says, they give you a negative review, and you know that like that's not a person that you worked with, that it's just a fake person. Heck, it could be a competitor trying to knock you, right? I don't know. So what you do is you say, yeah, I'm really sorry about the experience that you had. I just reviewed my records, and I see no record of you being a customer of ours. Are you sure that we're the firm, or I'm the individual that you worked with? Here's the information I have or don't have. Could you, contact me so I can resolve this? Which you're following that same format of being responsive. All right. You're taking ownership of it. You're like, hey, I want to solve this problem. And then you're trying to resolve it. But the only thing that you're doing is you're calling, if it is false and fake, what you're doing is you're showing, hey, I've got no record of your phone number. I've got no record of an email from you. And, we keep really detailed records, and I'm not seeing any evidence that happened. All right. I don't have any records that happened, but give them an out. Say, are you sure we're the people that you worked with? Because you don't want to just... Everyone who reads that's going to be like, yeah.
No. And I think that's the important thing. With these kinds of reviews, you're not trying to necessarily save that review or get that person to remove the review, because they're likely a troll, right? Yeah. What you're trying to do is show other potential customers that you are responsive and that you do handle adverse situations with,
it's all about getting into the details and showing that you're being responsive and taking ownership. I was recently doing a search on a property to do a little mini vacation down at the beach. And one of the properties, actually, I think I ended up staying at this one for when we went to Rockport not too long ago. And one of the homes that I was looking at, somebody said, give them 3 stars. And they gave them 3 stars. They said, the home was nice and everything, but didn't have stuff like tin foil, didn't have the kitchen amenities like tin foil, saran wrap, yada, yada, yada. And they gave them 3 out of 5 stars because of that. That's what they said. So the property manager, the owner, got on there and said, hey, I'm really sorry that you didn't locate the saran wrap, tinfoil, all those kitchen amenities. We had put it in our guide that all of that stuff is, and they said where it was. But oftentimes, sometimes not everyone reads that guide. That's why we always try to highlight it. Hopefully in your next day, you'll know where that is. So everyone reading it's like, okay, that person didn't read the here's what to do when you get to the house thing, and they didn't find the tinfoil, and then they blamed the owner. The owner was responsive, all right? They were detailed in terms of how they took care of it, saying, no, it was there, but they didn't rub their nose in it. They just said it so that everyone else could see that that person didn't read the instructions. And they tried to resolve it by saying, next time, that's where it'll be. So anyway, that's what we want to do as well. I had mentioned that I was going to share a video of something from one of our clients, Ted Williams, and I wanted to give you guys, give you some inspiration on what a really cool video about you. So this is taking a video that is about you, that's going to build your reputation, that's going to brand you, and taking it to the next level. He shared this with me yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and I liked it so much that I had to share it with you. And here's why. He created this video, and you're going to see not that many people have seen it because it's brand new, but one of the people who saw this actually saw one of his Facebook ads. They clicked on the Facebook ad, they came across this video, and then they hired him on the spot for $1 million plus listing just from watching this video. Now, here's the thing.
Big deal.
I thought this was a big deal because Gary and I have had the exact same thing happen to us for a total of like $3 million in sales, where somebody saw one of our Facebook ads, they clicked on it, then they started seeing our YouTube videos, and they called us to say, we're hiring you. I just watched all the videos and stuff, so we're going to hire you. And they ended up doing 2 homes. So I wanted to play. I actually have the video. I'm just going to play it real quick. It's only a minute 47 seconds, but I hope this can paint some inspiration on what you can eventually get to as you build your reputation. What I told Ted to do with this is you got to put this behind a YouTube ad. Spend the 1 or 2 cents per impression to get this in front of as many people as you possibly can. And Ted, if you're here today, I apologize for not letting you know I was going to do this, but based on our conversation,
Ted is here today. Superstar time for Ted.
Ted, I love this so much. I was watching this with Jordan beforehand. I was like, we get this. This is too good not to share. So, guys, let's get here's some real inspiration on what a video could look like. That's going to brand you. That's going to show you off like who you are. So let's just take a look at this video.
So I've been in real estate for over 20 years now, and a lot of people ask me like, man, you've been in real estate a long time. You must really love what you do. You know, what is it about real estate that you love about it, you know? And, you know, I worked for a big brokerage before I opened my own small independent brokerage. And the one thing that was my whole thing of why I wanted to open my brokerage was I wanted to work with people who I enjoy working with. I didn't want someone to have to tell me, here are a few clients, so we need to sell them a house. You know, so for me, it's not about the beautiful homes. It's about working with people and the feeling that they get when they purchase that home. You know, that moment that I was a part of their journey, their life journey. It's simple, but it is what it is for me. You know, the chasing of fame and a TV show and all that. You know, I'm the guy that, you know, I work with people one-on-one to help make their dreams come true. And you know, that's what makes me me. You know.
And we're back. Thank you, Ted. Hopefully that
Thanks,
gives you an idea on how you can then start taking everything that we're talking about and being really intentional about crafting that online reputation. So the next step for Ted is to make sure that we're getting that thing show up for every time somebody runs a search on Ted Williams, that's good. Ted Williams Real Estate, because there's actually lots of famous Ted Williams out there. So we got to make sure that when someone searches for real estate, either in Portland or in the Cabo area, or they're wanting to buy or sell in the Cabo area in Portland, that's the kind of video that's going to show up. That's going to show up in the search results. And so that's where you can eventually get to. That's not where you're going to start. And perhaps maybe one of these days I need to interview Ted on how he went about getting that video done, so that you guys can also have a formula for doing that. So with that, I think we've pretty much covered the gamut of talking about building up or enhancing your online reputation. You know, we've talked about everything from, you know, how to figure out what your reputation should be or how to craft that. We've talked about how to score what you have and figure out, put together a game plan on, you know, where should I focus? You know, we gave you a scoring chart. We also give you questions to ask about the individual results that show up. So you can now start to say to yourself, this is what I want to pursue. You know how to go about crafting a really good bio so that can show up and promulgate throughout the different areas in social media. And we've talked about creating content for social media and places to get that so that you can represent yourself more intentionally, frequently throughout the time that you are going to post, some of those being just specifically for building up that reputation. We talked about everything from the 4 checklist, the formula for online evaluation, formula for online reputation enhancement checklist. And then we got into lots of detail about online reviews and ratings and even looked at some examples. So I've really enjoyed spending the last 90 some minutes with you guys. I know Jordan and I were talking about this is going to be a lot of fun sharing all these cool tools and resources with you guys. I love being able to create stuff and have you go and use it. And here's what I love even more. I love it when you go to the private Facebook group and let us know how those tools and resources are working for you. I love to hear success stories. I like to hear, hey, I tried this. Here's what worked. Here's how I can make an improvement. You can always message me via Facebook and I'll respond to your questions and comments, as many of them as I possibly can. And if you've got improvements specifically, like actually message me using Messenger and I'll be happy to respond, just like doing an online review. I try to be as responsive as I possibly can. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jordan, for helping me facilitate this conversation, making sure we got all of your questions answered throughout today's lesson and instruction and this training. And thank you, Ted. Thank you, Gretchen, for letting us share some, and Jim Pruitt.
Jim, yes.
For sharing all the tools and resources that we got to share with everybody today. I look forward to seeing you guys on our next member training, which will be on September 4th or something like that. It's going to be the first Wednesday of September. We'll see you there, and I'll see you in the private Facebook group. Take care, guys.
Bye, everybody.